All right, what is up, guys? So in this video, as everything else, we're going to keep everything pretty much raw and real. If you guys are brand new, welcome. My name is Marco Musa. We cover everything from SMMA, lifestyle, fitness, travel, and just, I like the mindset aspects. Sometimes it's a little, woo-woo, but in this video, we're going to be covering a couple different things. And the first is the journey. I want to talk to you guys about my experience, and hopefully by extension, this is important to you guys. No matter where you're at in your journey, like the advice is pretty much universal. It's applicable to pretty much most people. And so I've been in the game now for close to a year, and like fully in the game before all of this stuff. I was in university pursuing something completely separate, and I knew nothing about sales and marketing at all, nothing. And it's pretty amazing, like how far you could take something if you just truly stick with it, find your people, find passion along the way. So that's the first thing. The second thing is hiring, because I'm at a stage now where I'm hiring really aggressively, really quickly, and I'm trying to make as little mistakes as possible, though it's inevitable with hiring, media buying, any part of the business. We're going to make, with just pure violent action, you're going to make mistakes along the way, but it's our jobs as professionals to kind of mitigate that risk. And then the third thing is just lifestyle and travel, and I'm in Medellin, Colombia right now, and trying to talk to you guys about how I balance all of this. And let's get into it. So the journey. Throughout this entire channel, I've always preach, and this isn't just my advice, right? Like, I'm not source on this one. This is coming from people at the top, Hermosi, Iman, everyone else who is at the top, who was once in our positions in the marketing agency space, or the agency space in general. And that's invest into yourself. It's always the S&P me 500 versus the S&P 500, okay? So there are people along the way who will pop up on your feed, who you're going to question, oh, this guy seems, relatively legit. Should I look into him? And if everything checks out, then just buy the course, buy the program. My only biggest regret in this agency space is just shortcutting my time to success, and the times where I waited to join courses and programs. That's my biggest regret. Like, the entire way through, all the failures, all the highs, all the lows, those are great. They come and go, and we have to kind of enjoy the moment, not take them for granted. But the entire way through, people have blueprints to your success. How stupid are you to say, nah, I'm not going to, spend $5,000 on the course. I'm going to do everything myself because I'm a G. Like, I thought that. And hence, for the first 3 months of my agency space, I only made a little bit more than $1,000. And that sucked. That was awful. And so, for example, I get a bunch of DMs saying, hey, teach me, hey, how do you do this? And literally last night, I spoke with a gentleman, and I said to him, hey, man, I'm not selling info. Where are you at in your agency? He said, I have one client. I want to scale. I want to start running paid ads. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm past that part. I'm doing, multi 6 figures a year. Like, I can help you out. I can get you to the next stage. So what I'll do for you is this, we'll work for 2 months, and we'll do one-on-ones, twice a week for 2 months straight. And I don't know, because I never did an info products. I'm like, all right, 1.5K for 2 months. Let's do it. And the guy's like, yeah, let me get back to you in a week. I'm like, how stupid are you? And this is game. Like, this is how it works, guys. I used to think that people who paid for friendships, people who paid for these courses, were idiots. And that was because I was ignorant of how the game actually works, ignorant of how to play it. Now, you can't change the rules for the most part. That's stupid. You have to understand the rules. You have to understand how to play the game. And then you have to understand how to play the game in the best to your ability by leveraging everything in your power. That's why knowledge is key. Access is key if implemented into your life. Now, yes, it is about the knowledge, but if you don't take the knowledge and implement it, then it's just nothing. It's like, what is education? What is learning? Learning is same condition, different behavior. If you've learned something new and you did the same condition, and you're in the same condition but have the same behavior, you didn't learn. You entertained yourself. And that is a truth of how learning actually works. And so now, when it comes to courses, programs, information, I understand the game way better than I did a year ago. And I'm not saying I know the game, I'm perfect, but what I am saying is this. If an opportunity comes along, I will pay the amount of money it takes. No questions asked, because it's all about shortcutting your way to success. And people, you have to play the game. You have to purchase these 4 or 5 figure investments into these programs so that you get access to the people. And then the way you get access to the people is you just continue leveling up in the game. Because what we're doing at the end of the day, especially in this online money making space, it's just, to be honest, like, it's a status game. Like, that's it. Will this decision improve my status or not? And so if you join a mentorship in a program and you're getting the best results, you're giving the most value, you're participating the most, the people who are at the top in that program will be like, oh, okay, this person is giving value, this person is getting results. You know, if I'm around them, it's building that know, like, and trust factor, so it's acceptable to be around them. But if you join these groups and you don't do anything, the people at the top don't really want to be around you. You know, like, that's just how it works, guys. I'm just being brutally honest here. So the initial point was this entire process and the entire journey, and my only regret is just not joining these groups sooner. That's it. My life would be completely different if I joined, you know, these mentorships within the first 1 to 2 months of not knowing anything, right? Because that's it. You're just shortcutting your way to success. And now the second point is hiring. So I'm at a stage now where for your 10, 20, 30, 40, maybe 50K a month, you could do pretty much everything with one setter, by yourself, maybe a VA. And that's it. Like, if you want to get to that stage and just chill and coast, that's entirely fine. But I'm at a stage now where I'm hiring really aggressively. So I'll straight up tell you guys my team right now. It's me, it's one VA, it's one media buyer, it's one setter, which I just did the group interview. I'm hiring the setter, doing one-on-ones tomorrow, and then one CSR, one person who calls all of my clients as leads and then books the appointments for them. So that's my team right now. And there are really unique things that I've learned in the hiring process, and a couple of them I'll break down for you guys right now, and that's, you're going to know who your guy is. For example, you're going to have these gut feelings that tell you just, yes, this person feels right. Now let's make sure the credentials line up. Now let's make sure the expertise lines up. Let's stress test them. Let's reverse sell them. Let's push them away on the one-on-one. Be like, are you sure you want this position? It's stressful. We've had people quit. This is not a easy, let me just slide by, no deadlines type of gimmick. This is stressful. This is becoming the best marketing agency in the game. Are you willing to do this? Yes or no? And when you kind of reverse sell them and push them away, if they pull back and they're completely certain and you feel the energy, you feel the confidence in them, then go ahead. Like, that's your guy. Now, there's also a really cool rule too when hiring. It's called the rule of 2. And you want to, for example, for setters specifically, you want to hire 2 setters and then let them compete against one another roughly for 10 to 14 days. Once one outcompetes the other in the specific KPIs, which you have to set expectations for, then fire the other, double down on the winner, kind of like running paid ads. You want to turn off the losers, or fire the person that was underperforming in this case, and then just double down on the winner, give them more investments into the course, into yourself, pour your wisdom and knowledge onto them, because the returns on a good hire are exponential, not just linear. And so the media buyer that I hired, I did close to 10 one-on-one interviews, and the guy who I said to myself immediately, just from watching his Loom, I said, this will probably be my guy. That was my initial reaction on the Loom. And then I sent out emails to each individual Loom saying, hey, I like your resume. Let's do a one-on-one. When are you free? He was the first person to respond. It was like within 5 minutes. And so that just confirmed my belief already that he is my guy. I was like, okay, he was the first one to respond. Communication is great. His grammar seems great. He speaks great English. Let's now just double down on this one-on-one interview. Make sure he aligns with the company, aligns with the culture, and culture is huge. Now, skills are trainable. You can train anyone to learn pretty much most skills if they have half a brain, okay? Now, you want to find a culture fits. I read the book, The Almanac of Novel Ravikant. I think I might have spoke about this, the book on the channel itself before, and he said, if you cannot see yourself working with one person for a day or for life, do not work with them for a single day. And now that's something I have to keep in the back of my mind every single time I'm hiring these people. I'm asking them questions, but I'm at the same time, I'm like, would I spend the rest of my life with this person? Would I get along with this person? And if the answer is no, then unfortunately that's your answer. Because the fire will just inevitably come, after 1 to 2 weeks or maybe a few months if they're underperforming, if you're getting mad at them for whatever reason. So that's a really important rule to stand by when hiring. And now when it comes to hiring and delegating for specific positions, the truth is I think you should just do what you like least or what you're not good at. Being completely honest. I know a lot of people, so sales is obviously the highest leverage thing you guys can do. I am going to delegate that last. I love sales. I've trained myself to love sales. I didn't in the beginning of my agency. I honestly hoped people wouldn't hop on sales calls in the beginning of my agency. But now I'm like, once you get really good at something, guys, it then becomes enjoyable. That's where you develop passion. That's where you then develop expertise. And so sales is something I'm going to delegate last. For you watching this, what do you hate? Do you hate media buying? Do you hate sales? Whatever you dislike, whatever's the lowest leverage task, then just delegate it. Like don't worry. It's okay. You don't need to overthink it. If you wake up every morning and you say to yourself, man, media buying fucking sucks. For example, the masterminds I was at in Dubai, there was a person who I met who didn't know how to media buy. And they were doing 6 figures a month. Wrap your head around that. I was like, that was a limiting belief I had in my mind. And having to confront that, I was like, what the fuck? What? Really? And that's just how it is. If you have capital, if you have experience in how to build and create, then you could just use the capital to allocate towards hire recruiters. For example, if you don't know anything about sales, you have the capital, you have the expertise, you can hire a recruiter, hire a sales manager, and then have that sales manager teach your sales reps and your setters, and they just report to you. That's it. Like, it's so simple, guys. That's it. And the third thing I want to talk to you guys about, those are a couple key lessons that I hope you guys can take that and apply it into your own agency. But the third thing I want to speak to you guys about is lifestyle, traveling. How do I make this work? If you're watching this, if you travel, I'm sure, most people travel, or if you're, if you're wanting to travel, this is what I would say to those wanting to travel. Save your first 5 to 10K and then leave. It's true. Environment is everything. You have to set yourself up for success. Now, the way I do this, and I'm very, very, very specific. And at the end of the day, the people at the top, you're gonna once realize that nothing is accidental in their life for the most part. Like, there's a degree of luck. There's a degree of luck in everyone's success. It's just like what percentage of their success is luck. But for example, I'm in Colombia right now. I wanted to keep expenses really low. I wanted to be somewhere where the quality of life was high. I wanted to be somewhere where people value fitness, value community. And so my hotel has restaurants at the bottom, a cafe at the bottom, a rooftop pool, a rooftop restaurants. And my gym, my CrossFit gym, is no joke, a 60-second walk away, 1 to 2 minute walk away. That's it. I don't need to leave. I don't need to go anywhere. I have my setup here, sit, and I don't leave. That's it, guys. Like, that's it. So now you really have to kind of get your lifestyle when it comes to travel in a very specific way. And you want to account for all the external factors in your favor. Like, will I have to take a taxi everywhere I go? Will I have to take a motorcycle everywhere I go? Where is the nearest hospital? God forbid something happens. Now, yes, it is kind of a pain in the ass to kind of figure all that out, but it's something you just figure out once. And that's why it's really important to put yourself in certain environments and certain positions. Now, lifestyle design, to be honest, I try to keep expenses really low. Like, there are times where I'll just ball out and have some fun. Like, for example, the mastermind, I had, a bunch of fun, spent a bunch of money. But it really just depends on what you want, where you want to live. Now, I also thought about Tbilisi, Georgia after Dubai, but instead I came to here because of the time zone. I work Eastern hours. And so you have to say to yourself what it is you want, what type of lifestyle do you want, and are you going to be okay living in a foreign country? But another thing, too, is that it's so much easier with other agency owners, so much easier with other guys who are going to hold you accountable. And that's facts. That's just 100% facts. Now, if you are relatively internally motivated and self-disciplined, then you could just live in like the same area as them. Like, for example, there are other agency owners here in Medellin who I occasionally hang out with, you know, go to the run club with, go out and have some fun with on the weekends. And we don't live together, but that's fine. So when it comes to lifestyle design, I would say save your first 5 to 10K, move in with a couple guys who are on the same page, if not doing better than you, and then just curate your environment to your favor. Like I said, I don't have to leave my apartment. I have the gym. It's a 60-second walk away. I have everything I need here. I have cafes and restaurants all within a less than 3-minute walk. I have room service if I need for food and anything else. So it's really about lowering the friction from the moment you wake up to the moment you start working. And I remember a tweet or a post on X so vividly by Hermosi, and it was like things that accounted to my success the most. And you would think it's like knowledge, information, people, but it was simple things like having multiple chargers, having good Wi-Fi, having a good morning routine. Simple things. That's it. Having multiple monitors. You don't need to overcomplicate any of this. And once you start working, once you start getting into a routine, it then becomes flow. It then becomes easy. It's going to suck when you have to travel back to the US or wherever you're from, but that's fine. But for the moment, you have to curate your life to your favor and to the highest leverage productivity routine as possible. And I referenced Naval earlier in this video, but I'm going to reference him again. But he was like, if he were to summarize life's purpose in 2 words, it's this: productize yourself. That's what I keep in mind when figuring out my travels. Productize yourself. You're not meant to mope and be lazy and sit around. And in Marcus Aurelius' book, a book on Stoicism, in Meditations, he said, no random action. Everything in your life should be focused on that goal. Everything should be focused on that goal. Is what I'm doing right here, right now, getting me closer or further to my goal? No random action ever in your life. And so there's a lot that goes into the travel, into the lifestyle, booking flights, Amex points. It's all really cool stuff, and it's a whole world on its own. But to sum up, I hope this video gives you guys some value into hiring tactics and lessons that I've learned along the way, the journey, shortcutting your way to success, how to play the game, and then lastly, traveling, because I've been on the road pretty much nonstop. I head back to New York every once in a while for family, and it's all about curating your environment to productize yourself in the highest leveraged form possible without having any random action in your life. So that's that. If you guys want me to dig deep or have any questions, just shoot me a DM on Instagram. But if you guys want me to talk specifically about anything else, let me know, and I'll see you.